Preparing to live stream the meeting. Setting up your meeting for YouTube Live. Done. Redirecting to YouTube. Preparing to live stream the meeting. It's always important to have a blow-by-blow. Setting up your meeting for YouTube Live. Done. Redirecting to YouTube. Preparing to live stream the meeting. Oh, I gotta fix that. It's always important to have a blow-by-blow. Setting up your meeting. Just mute that so I can't hear the background. Otherwise, I'll have that repeat there. All right, I have that done. Let's do this. Let's go here and say, let's get back to this screen, share screen. And just pop that up here for a few minutes while we're waiting. We have this up here for a few minutes while everybody waits. It's grab and go catfish and chicken dinner with the Senior Center. All you got to do is buy your tickets in advance by calling the Senior Center. It's Thursday, March 18th from 5 to 7 p.m. And you get fish and chicken and french fries and coleslaw and hush puppies and water or a soda. So, sorry, no coffee. But that's okay. So, we'll wait a few minutes and see who can join here on us. And before we get started, got Dana over here in the background in case for comments and stuff, because for some of the stuff I'm doing today, I won't be able to see comments as I normally do. So I'll be doing some screen sharing and things. So it's a beautiful day outside today. I think the high is supposed to be in the low 60s. Be a good day to get out and go for a hike, huh, Dana?
Mm-hmm. I know. That's what I'm waiting on.
I bet you are. Where are you going today? Well, I'm going to try to get a run in today myself. Either that or wait till tomorrow, because tomorrow's supposed to be a little bit warmer even. So I do know my wife said something about having to go to the Container Store in Little Rock. So that will be a long process, I'm sure. But that's okay. It's for a good cause. So, yeah, we've had a minute. Hopefully there's a couple of people that are joining us now. And if not, well, they'll jump on in a little bit and maybe catch some stuff. And they can always go back and watch this front end. I want to welcome everybody to March's Coffee with the Mayor. February was a crazy month. I believe that was February when that happened. Yeah, all the storms. It's just been such a whirlwind of things. I mean, so anyway, we managed to get through that with pretty doggone good as a city. Our public works department worked around the clock during that storm, trying to keep the roads clear, trying to make sure any pipes didn't burst or anything like that. I know some people had some frozen pipes, and we helped them with some shutoffs on their water so they didn't get massive leaks or anything like that. So, I mean, we're pretty active with that. Now, with regard to that, what we have to do is start looking for potholes. So if you happen to see a pothole out there, please go onto the website. And I'm going to do this. I'm going to share my screen, and I'm actually going to work you through the process on how to get to that, okay? Because it's a great thing to do. I believe this is the right one. Yes, here we go. Now let's go to this. Nope, wrong one. Wrong one again. I got something blocking my view here. There we go. Put that down here for the moment. So if we go over here, go to the Bryant City website, you scroll down, and you see right here where it says report a concern. All you have to do is click on that, and lo and behold, something else I want to talk about pops up. The City of Bryant Yard Waste Program. The weather's good this weekend. I imagine a lot of people are going to be doing some yard cleanups. Just remember, every Tuesday, if you report, we'll come out and pick up your yard waste. If it's yard clippings and grass and leaves and stuff like that, be sure to bag it up in a paper bag. You can get those at Lowe's. They are not very expensive. And branches and trees and stuff like that, stack them along the roadside. And then when you get to that, you click right here where it says Public Works, report a concern for yard waste, streets, water, wastewater, stormwater. You click here. And I'm going to click a Public Works request, it looks like, and it's asking me to create an account, Dana. Is that what we have to do now? Okay.
One time you'll initially create an account,
Okay.
and then after that, you shouldn't have to
Okay,
see
so
that screen anymore.
apparently one time you have to create an account, so I'm not going to do that right now because, I might have to see what my password is there. But basically you create that, you do that one time, and then you go in and you fill in the form for the yard waste program. If you need some yard waste picked up, that happens every Tuesday. So, but you have to put it on here so we know to come pick it up. It's also where you go to report potholes and things like that, or if you see some code issues or something like that, or you think maybe a code violation issue, that's where you'd go for that as well. So you couldn't, I guess, let's try to, oh yeah, you can continue as guest, I guess. So you can fill out your information, contact method, and what you have going on. So like, let's say street request, you have pothole in the road, problem with traffic signal. Select, if you got sewer problems. But I would say this, if you ever see a manhole overflowing, it's on this form. I believe I would just call the city directly and let us know that, because that's a pretty major thing. So anyway, I just thought I'd bring that up to y'all's attention for a little bit. Like I say, we did do the storm. I also saw earlier this week, I believe it was, or late last week. See if I can quit sharing this for a moment. There we go. Earlier this week or late last week that the governor started relaxing some of his mandates. He's changed some directives to guidance now. Excuse me, my nose is tickling. Some guidance, some mandates to guidance now for some of the things we do. The mask mandate is still in place until the end of this month, and I think then's when he's going to decide if for sure he's going to lift it or not based on numbers. All I ask is, use common sense when you're out there. Be careful still, because the virus is still out there, and I would hate for it to resurge here in Arkansas, especially in Bryant. Everybody has done so wonderful on that, over this past year. And believe me, I know it wears on everybody to deal with it, because I've had to deal with it for a while myself. So everywhere I go, it's limited some of the things I've been able to do. And I know it limits some things everybody else has been able to do as well. Another kind of cool little thing that I need to share with y'all is, let's go back to this desktop view again, is this right here. Recycle Saline sent this to us last night, or made us aware of this last night. They're excited to announce a new partnership with CTS Services, where they're implementing a household hazardous waste program. It'll allow you as a resident of Saline County to drop off household hazardous waste 4 times a year for $10 cash per coupon. It's kind of hard to see the details on this, but the coupon will be purchased at the Saline or the Recycle Saline office for $10 cash per coupon. Like, you can get 4 of those. You have to show proof that you live in Saline County, and you got to present the coupon. When you picking up the coupon, you must present when dropping off at the CTS facility. That facility is located at 1218 River Street in Benton. And some of the things you can drop off with that are paint thinners, oil/water based. You have a max per vehicle on that. Oil, fuel, maximum 5 gallons per vehicle. So if you change your own oil, you can now take that up to 5 gallons and turn that in, which is a great thing to do. It's much better than pouring it down storm drains or anything like that, which is really bad. Antifreeze, same thing. Pool chemicals, if you let's say you're switching from a chlorine-based pool to a saltwater-based pool, you can get rid of your chlorine that way if you need to. Some household cleaning chemicals if you have, or old fertilizers, herbicides, pesticides, automobile cleaning supplies, aerosol cans. Those all can be accepted with the coupon, which is pretty amazing. Okay, anything over the maximum amount for the individual will be responsible for additional costs paid at the time of disposal, and it would be 60 cents per pound plus tax.
screen showing there if you were trying to show something.
You don't have a screen showing?
Mm-mm.
Well, it should be. I don't
I
know.
can
It's-
find it on Facebook. I don't
You can
know.
find it on Facebook. I don't know. Apparently, I'm not good at this.
Well, everything else shows.
Yeah, everything else is showing. So for some reason, this is not showing. So maybe that will do it. I don't know. So anyway, so that's items not included in the coupon will need to be paid. So anyway, and some of the things that you have to pay extra for would be propane cylinders, small ones, large ones, and fluorescent bulbs. They're 12 cents per foot. So hopefully I can work this a little bit better. Apparently my screen sharing abilities are lacking today. That's some of the stuff that we've been dealing with or doing. Let's see if my other stuff that I want to share is up here though. I thought I had this as well. So I'm going to do a little looking while I'm talking. So forgive me if I don't get this worked out right. That is not right there. So I don't know where that is. Newsletter stuff. I was going to try to pull it up on the screen, but apparently I'm not that good at that either. Today, I thought I had it on my desktop so I could screen share it, but apparently it is not there. I'm going to try to find it again real quick and then do a different way, but maybe not. This is the beauty of technology. This is why I'll be glad when we get to go back live, which brings me to an important point with regard to that. I think next month, if all goes according to plan, we will be live and in person for Coffee with the Mayor. I'm happy about that, I'm going to say, because visiting with you through computer, it's just not as interactive as I'd like it to be, you know?
We're hoping to find a way where we will have it in person, yet still
Yeah.
live stream to YouTube.
Right. And as Dana said, we're hoping to be able to still live stream this to YouTube as we have it in person. So we're working through those kinks. So bear with us for these next couple of times when we do this, because I think it's important to get this on social media and live stream through YouTube and stuff. A couple of things of note in the newsletter, if you've received it yet, the city is really working hard. I can show it like this, I guess. You know, the city is really working hard on water improvements. They actually recently got what's called a pipe bursting machine, which is a pretty cool machine. I got to go out and watch it before the storms and stuff hit. But basically what it is, it's a way for them to replace underground piping without having to dig up an entire trench. So they can dig holes in certain places, especially where connections are made. And then they can take this device, run a cable through this, and have this thing on the end of it that attaches to the pipe that they're going to put in the ground. And they pull that through the old pipe. And as they pull it through the old pipe, it breaks the old pipe it out into the soil, and the new pipe replaces it, and then they redo the connections. It's a little bit more efficient and less costly on repairs that way. So it's a good thing for us to do.
We're able to do more repairs in-house.
Exactly.
and not having to contract out.
Excuse me, as Dana was saying, we're able to do more repairs in-house with this than having to contract it out so much. And again, it's a little bit faster for the most part. Occasionally there's always a problem when you have construction type projects, so be aware of that. Again, I want to give a big shout out to the Public Works Department again for all that they did during the storms. They were working shifts 24 hours a day, 7 days a week during that storm, trying to keep the roads clear. They did a pretty good job of it. You know, even during the snowstorms, they were out there, even though it was kind of a losing battle when you're getting like 6 inches of snow at one time. But they were able to go in and clear out some of the main roads fairly quickly when the storms abated. So we really appreciate that. The police department, fire department was very helpful during that time as well. I know the police especially were doing some shuttling for some of the local hospitals, or if they had employees that needed to come in, they were able to actually go pick them up and get them to the hospital so they could provide the service that they needed to do. So that's always important. A couple other things. What else we have? Schools, kindergarten registration starts kindergarten and pre-K registration starts in March, coming up, looks like next week and the following week. So if you have a kindergarten or a pre-K kid, you better get out there. And moms, it's okay. They will be okay when they go to school. I know that first day's tough. I remember it well with mine. But they have applications online on their website, which is bryantschools.org. So download, fill it out, and bring it in and get that kiddo in school. What else we got? Springtime cleanup. I mentioned it before, but I'll mention it again. It's beautiful weather out there. I imagine a lot of people are going to Lowe's today and tomorrow to buy stuff to put in their flower beds and get their yard started ready. So just be aware of that yard waste program. It's easy to do. Go in, report a concern, as I said, or hopefully it showed up. I don't know when. Apparently my screen sharing's weak. My screen sharing game is weak today. So get out there and do that, register that, and they'll come pick up stuff. I will say some things pick up is treated lumber, treated wood, rocks, or synthetic mulch. So that's what they can't pick up because there's really no way for them to dispose of that material. Other than that, it's all good. And if you have any questions on that, like I said, go to the city website, www.cityofbryant.com. Let's see, what else is on my list? Spring cleanup, school registration, I got that. Hey, I want to tell about this. This is also in this. It's in the newsletter. I forgot about that in the director's chair. This is kind of a new thing. We've actually combined two departments. We merged them. That merger should be done by the end of this month, and we'll get more details as this month goes on with regard to it. But basically what we're doing is merging code and permits, the code and permits department, with our Bryant planning and community development department. So they're so interrelated and so interconnected that we felt as a city that is the best way to do this. I think it'll allow for a better flow of information, as well as we're looking to see of ways to streamline that permitting process. I know right now, I believe there's certain things when you're applying to do in the city of Bryant, you have to take a check to one place, and you have to take a check to another place, and you have to take a different check to another place. We're trying to combine and consolidate all that. So when you do that, make that step, excuse me, that you can go to one place and write those checks and get that taken care of. Save you, the resident or the contractor or whatever, it'll save you some time and money as a result. So we're looking forward to that. What else do we have? We're continually working on everything else in the city, parks, some things happening in the parks coming up soon. I think it's Ashley Park. I think is Alcoa part of the sign program too.
I think so.
I think it's those three: Mills Park, Ashley Park, and Alcoa Park are all in the process of getting new signage. They would have been done earlier. However, we've been trying to work with scheduling the contractor for those days. And let's be real, the weather we've had in the recent past has kind of slowed things up a little bit too, but we're going to get that out. And once those new signs are out and get there, it'll make it look nicer. So when you drive by that park, you'll actually know what that park is called, especially if you don't live here. So we want people to come visit us and play in our park. So there you go. Excuse me. Little update on the Bryant Parkway. As I believe I've told you before, I believe it was last month that the environmental assessment has been approved by the FAA and the FHA, also known Federal Highway Administration, which RDOT works with to do these projects. So that's been approved. Right now, we're waiting on some document approval for right-of-way acquisition, so we can start that process for the remaining section of the parkway. And
the virtual public meeting.
And I was about to mention that. Dana's reminded me, and I was about to mention it, which is good. I appreciate it. She says in April, and I was going to say in April, we should have a virtual public meeting to receive comments about that process and that plan and stuff. So feel free to stay tuned for that. And when it's time, feel free to log in and see what that's all about and make the comments as you deem it fit. Let's see if I've missed anything so far. I don't think I have. My understanding that on Shobe to Bristol Street, there's an overlay project that's coming up in late March and early April. So if you're in that area, be on the lookout during late March, early April. We should be doing some overlays on the roads in that area. So another one that I've announced in the past, and we're looking for more applications and we've had some good response already, but it never hurts to have a whole lot of response, is the Community Engagement Committee. You have another week to get your applications in, and we're going to go through those and figure out the best fit for that committee. Try to find all my other documentation. Man, I've missed everything. I misplaced it all, Dana. It's okay. But basically, as I've talked about before, this is a committee that we're going to hope to get to help us better communicate with you as a city. If you have issues, you can go to them and they can go to us, or you can go to us and them. I'm also going to try to get them to work with some of the areas of our community that aren't represented very well communication wise, so we can get more feedback from different areas of the community, because to me, it seems like I hear from the same people all the time, which is great. I don't mind that, but there's some people that I know, I'm sure they have some issues or problems, and they might not be aware can come to the city with those issues and problems. And that's part of this committee's job, is to make sure they understand that they can do that. And it'll be an avenue for them to do it that may be a little less stressful for them. If that makes sense. As I'd said, I think in the past, that I have a vision for this as basically an extended communications arm for the city, and bridge that divide between administration and residents.
Tentative date, just real quick, virtual Parkway is April 22nd.
April 22nd is the tentative date for that virtual public meeting for the Parkway. Just I was notified of that. Thank you, Ted Taylor. I'll also mention that that's my sister's birthday. So, but she doesn't live around here, so it's okay. Won't be having a party for her. So anyway, back to Community Engagement Committee, raising public awareness for city services, because some people probably don't know some of the services we offer. And for a city our size, I mean, I think that's unfortunate, and we need to do a better job of that. And that will help make our community more inclusive overall. Of course, some people in the city don't trust the city. Let's just be real. Some of my family members probably don't trust the city, and that's okay. But part of the job of this committee, the vision I have for it, is to help build that trust back between the residents and city. So we're all working together, not against each other, because I think that's important to do in life. With that, that's all the big stuff I have, except for the biggest thing in the room, right?
Yeah.
And that is something that's happening this coming up Thursday. We are having a workshop. The council is having a workshop and we've talked about this project, or this, I guess it's a project. Yeah. We've talked about this action for quite a while, and council had asked for a workshop, and we've set that workshop for this coming up Thursday. It is an in-person workshop. I will tell you, it's about the water rate study that we've been working on and discussing since last August. But basically what it is with the workshop, of course, as you may or may not be aware, in workshops, all it is just discussion. No decisions will be made on Thursday because you're not allowed to by law in a workshop. So, council is going to be information to present to council Council's got, we'll have some additional questions for us as well, I'm sure. And we'll go through that discussion. And then we will bring that study and that stuff back to council at a regular council meeting. And then that decision will be made there. So again, this Thursday is just a informational meeting only. It is open to the public. I will say it's going to be at the fire station on Roya in their little meeting, in their meeting room. Space is limited. So if you want to come speak, you're more than welcome to come speak and make public comment. But, if the room is full, we're just going to have to ask you to wait outside, and you can listen in on your phone or whatever as you're hearing the discussion going on. And then we'll bring you in for public comment as we get space available. So I appreciate everybody's work on that. So let me talk about a couple of things with regard to that. One of them is, why are we having to do this? Well, every 3 years, the city of Bryan is required by law to have an outside consultant do a rate analysis of our water and wastewater rates. And it's important to use an outside source for that because they are unbiased and they can do comparisons to other cities and stuff like that. So that's why we're doing that. But what brought us here, because I know a lot of people are saying, well, our bills are so high. So I want to share this one particular screen with you right here. And hopefully it'll show up or not. There it is. So this is a residential monthly charge comparison based on 5,000 gallons of usage, which is a pretty substantial amount of usage. It's probably almost as much as what my family uses in our house. And if you notice here in the center column, this is where Bryan, these are the current rates. This is where Bryan is. The average for a $5,000 thing, the average bill is about $73.52, if you can see that. And if you look, it's kind of in the middle of all these other places. Pine Bluff is down here at the low end at $45. That's Pine Bluff Liberty Utilities. They're a company that Pine Bluff uses for their water and stuff. And as we all know, during this recent storm, Pine Bluff has had some major issues. And a lot of that has been attributed to water loss, that they did not go out and be proactive and find where that water loss was happening. It's another word for leaks. In the year or two previous, basically they didn't do their maintenance, and it wound up costing them in this really cold weather. Benton, Hot Springs, Jacksonville, different, and those are all lower than us as well. Fayetteville is a little bit lower than us, or pretty dang close to where we are. Excuse me. Some of these lower things like Benton, Hot Springs, I believe they have other utilities that they use to basically subsidize their water and sewer rates to some extent.
I'm not sure about Hot Springs. Benton, absolutely. And some of these cities have, some pretty, the low rates, they have some pretty big issues that
Yes.
they are tackling that we're trying to keep from.
Right. Yeah. And as Dana was said, some of these cities that have the lower rates have some pretty big issues that they're having to tackle now, that we are trying to prevent that. And everything that we've done over the past several has helped us. And I think honestly, that's why in the bad weather we had recently, where you saw what happened in Texas, Pine Bluff, unfortunately, Benton had some issues as well. And I think that's where we were lucky in that regard, that we had done a lot of that preventive maintenance, which unfortunately costs funds. A lot of people, myself included, tend to forget things that are underground. Water lines, wastewater lines, they do wear out, they do break occasionally, and we have to do preventive maintenance on those to keep that from happening. And if you don't do that preventive maintenance, you wind up with bigger problems in the long run, especially when you talk about sewer. And that gets us to what was called a consent administrative order that we were put under a number of years ago. And I can share a little bit with that as well if you want, or if you don't want. Just to give you an idea what the timeline is for that. If I can close this out. get to the right screen. Here we go. The consent administrative order. There was a major incident that occurred in 2015. We had been on the radar of RDOT before then. And honestly, anytime we have a SSO, which is a sanitary sewer overflow or outflow, I think it's overflow, have to report that to RDOT or ADEQ.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, not RDOT, but ADEQ. And that's required by law to do that. And if you have too many of those, you get put under what's called a consent administrative order. And that's what happened to the city of Bryant. What happens with those consent administrative orders, you go in and you have to hire somebody to look at your system and say, okay, here's where our problems are. These are the things that need to be done to fix this, to minimize these overflows. It always costs a lot of money for things like this. Infrastructure is incredibly expensive. We went through that. We worked through this offer, and all this, by the way, is all online on the agenda for you. If you want to look at it, if you go to the city website and go into meetings and agendas for our workshop, this is all there. So you can look at this, and these highlighted blue links are active. You can click on those and you can see that information. So anyway, in 2016, after the consent administrative order was first issued, it was finally done. We did a corrective action plan, which had been submitted in 2016. And since then, Christ Engineering and the have been working towards solving all of those problems. We are nowhere near the end of this yet. This is I believe it's a 7-year plan, or maybe longer. I can't remember. Ted can weigh in on that, and he'll probably send Dana a message here in a minute, and I'll let you know. It's a long plan. So 2019 to 2020, we did this because we got all that other stuff done. So we've done a lot of job related stuff with regard to that. And as you scroll through that, and there's some other things we'll have to do. It's unfortunate that we're under one of these, and it does happen. But it also makes it to where if we don't do this, there are consequences to our actions. The state can step in and cause some major problems for us as a city. And I don't want that to happen. With what we have now with our water, wastewater, our schools, Bryant is a wonderful place to live. It's probably the best place in Central Arkansas. If you ask me, probably the best place in Arkansas to live. But I may be a little biased on that. And it's because we have invested in our infrastructure. We've invested in improving our sewer system, wastewater system. We've invested in improving our water system. We've invested in our parks. We're investing in our roads. It's because of all these investments that we are where we are, and we are as good as we are. And without that, we would not be as good, and nobody would want to live here, honestly.
And the irony is because we've become this great community, that rapid growth
Yes.
is what we had, a community that was trying to keep costs low,
Yeah.
but at the same time, Bryant doubled in size twice.
Yeah.
And so those are some very unique challenges. And I think that the city, previous city councils and administrations have done a great job in finally getting us in a place where we are, what you're saying, is a premier community. Yeah.
As Dana was saying, in case you couldn't hear, basically she said, and in addition, over the years, of course, we've tried to keep costs, the city tried to keep costs down, but we've also experienced a phenomenal amount of growth where our population has doubled and then doubled again over just a very short period of time, or 20 years. Mm-hmm. And that puts a big strain on the infrastructure. And if you don't keep up, then you wind up having some major problems. And we've done a pretty good job of keeping up, but obviously based on the consent administrative order, we weren't as good as we should have been. But now we're good and we're getting better. And that's the important thing. And as we keep improving, the quality of life of the city will continue to improve, and it'll just be so much better, I think. So let me think of anything else.
Have you showed the FAQ page?
I have not showed the FAQ page. I will try, but that's on that other thing that
We'll see.
we couldn't see. I can try now. I could show the water bill if you want me to.
Yeah, that would be good. And I had a question on Facebook, and I thought it would be good to answer
Okay.
it on here.
Okay.
Which is, one of the questions was, in this presentation, there is a small, I guess, increase, a little bit larger increase in the first year than the adjustments on the
Right.
following years. And why is that?
Right.
And I think if you could touch just real
Yeah.
quickly on the 2017 study and kind of where we are and why.
Yeah. Yeah. Dana basically brought this up. If you look at the plan that's been proposed for these water rates, there's a little bit, the increase is bigger than the previous years. And really the main reason for that is so we can continue to provide the services that we need to provide. We are, with all the projects we have, we're a little bit strained on getting it all done.
Yeah, that 2017 report was not quite accurate.
Right.
So our
Right.
past few years
Yeah,
have not
and-
really put us in that.
Yeah, and I was about to get to that. And as Dana's saying, I probably should share. I should just invite her on here and let her talk about this as well, because she has done such a phenomenal job with this. I will say, she is a great person to have on the team. In 2017, there was another rate study done. As I said, it's every 3 years. I was on council at that time, and I remember it well. And during that rate study, apparently, we didn't realize it until about 2020 when a new rate study was done, or actually 2019. No, it's 2020. It was in August 2020 when that company redid the rate study for us, that it was realized that they had made a calculation error in that rate study, and it wasn't at quite the levels it should have been. So as a result, we've been basically, I hate to say this, but we've not been getting the needed to continue on with this consent administrative order. We've been doing our best, and we've been doing well, and we try to do everything we can in-house for it, because that's less expensive than consultants. But in like I say, in August of 2020 is when that was realized. And of course, when that happened, the council at that time said, hey, let's get another company in here to do a different rate study and see. And then when they brought in, they've actually have the first year a little bit higher than the other, which was straight across the board. And that's to get us back on the right playing field, so we can continue on this year doing what we need to do for this administrative order. Otherwise, we'll have to postpone things, and it could cause some problems with ADEQ in the future. That's pretty much what it is, I think. Is that okay, Dana?
That's good. That's perfect.
That's good. That's perfect. She's saying that, which means I probably didn't say that quite the way I needed to, but that's okay.
No.
I don't mind that. So anyway, let's see. She is wanting me to show some FAQs if I can. So I will try that.
I did like, since you just talked about that, go ahead and show that invoice, that bill, kind of our sample.
The water bill? Okay, I
Yeah,
can do
because I
that.
think it helps put in perspective.
Yeah.
When you talk increases,
Right.
people's minds go a little.
Yeah, exactly.
big.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And this is a sample water bill that Dana did for us, so we could actually, if you, in this column where the red lines are, this is what the current rates are. It says old, but these are the current rates right now. And this is Mr. Average Customer, who happens to be a senior citizen as well. And they use 4,000 gallons a month is what they're using. So they have the 2,000 base plus the $2,000 in addition, or not $2,000, 2,000 gallons in addition. So with the current billing system, they have $55.13 as a bill, or with tax and everything else at $58.40. Oh, I'm sorry, that's the other one. So $55.13. With the new rates this year, that would go up to $58.14 a month. So you're talking a difference of about $3 a month on this bill, typical bill here. Now, of course, the more water you use, the more your bill will go up. And if you're not a senior citizen, you don't get that senior citizen discount. There's a difference of about $10 on the senior citizen's water bill that uses 4,000 gallons and the residents, because they get $3.49 for water, a discount for water, and $3.49 discount for wastewater
But you can see.
for the total of $6.98. In addition, there's a $3 stormwater fee that senior citizens don't pay. So what were you about to say,
I
Dana?
was just gonna say, so you can kind of base your
Yeah.
own current bill,
Right.
if, you know, that you get every month and see, you know, that you're gonna have it is gonna be, you
Right.
know, an adjustment, but it's not, once you get out of the minus
Yeah.
percentages, it looks a little different.
Yeah, the adjustment, it is an adjustment and it is an increase, but it's not I mean, I'm not going to say it's not a significant increase, but it's not insurmountable. The bills that I calculated earlier yesterday when I was doing some calculations for some stuff was about $10 difference a month, you know, for the average consumer that wasn't a senior citizen. So that's not too bad. And I appreciate all the work that she's done with that, with regard to that. Let me switch over to these frequently asked questions if I can get that going now. Let's see here. That will be here. Share that. Here we are. Yeah. And here's this from frequently asked questions, which we're going to be going over. I believe we're going over these at the workshop, and
They're online. I don't think we're gonna go through them unless council would like
Okay.
to. But we do have it linked onto the agenda. We try to put
Yeah.
everything in
Yeah.
just one spot, and it's on the main website page.
Yeah, these are on the agenda, and as Dana said, they're on the main website page as well. But basically, these questions are, why is there a consent action order? And it kind of goes through that process of, you know, well, because of the things that happened in the past, you know, we had met, and how's this affect our rates? Well, it requires us to repair and upgrade systems on an accelerated schedule. And that's the key here. If we could make these repairs on our schedule, it'd be much better for us, but we're not allowed to do that because of this action order. When will the consent action order be lifted for the city? And once it ends, will our bills decrease? The CAO requires Bryant to submit a capital improvement plan that evaluates existing structure and outlines a 7-year plan beginning in 2018 to implement the repairs and improvements. So if possible, if we are successful and we get all these implemented, we can request a termination of the CAO, and it may possibly lead to lower rates for wastewater, which I'd be grateful for, because even though it's expensive to treat wastewater, it seems like a bad time to look at a rate change. There's never a good time to look at rate changes. But, you know, this is required as part of this every 3-year study that we have to do this. And last year we did it, but we discovered those shortcomings, as Dana was talking about earlier, and these help meet the financial needs of water and wastewater system. Why we use an outside contractor? Because it's better for you as a consumer. I've heard people say in the past for certain things, well, why do you want the fox guarding the hen house? Well, you don't necessarily. That's why you have an outside contractor review it, because they're independent and they give an unbiased opinion on this, because no matter what they say, you know, it doesn't affect. We could say what we wanted, I guess, but we would never do that, because we try to be as open and clear as we can. Why are rates so high compared to Benton? Well, and this is one of these things where Benton has its own electric utility company, and a lot of cities that have additional utilities, it may be solid waste pickup, it may be electric utilities, it may be some other utilities, gas utilities. They use those to subsidize water and wastewater charges. So an equal comparison would really be cities such as Fayetteville, because their growth has been about like Bryant's is right now. So, and that rapid growth strains infrastructure, and you have to get going with it and to keep up. Otherwise, your system becomes undersized and you have major problems. If city council chooses not to adjust the rates, how does that impact residents? Well, we try to keep that level of service as it is to expect as a premier city. We try to keep that level as you expect it as a citizen. And if they don't pass this, we will have to do some adjustments to things, and hopefully it'll be okay. Hopefully the council will do that, make the decision that they need to make. There's some repairs that we will have to limit, and it may wind up being that we do a lot of emergency repairs, unfortunately. And anytime you have an emergency repair, an unscheduled repair, it always is more costly than it is if it's scheduled, because it seems like every time those repairs happen in the middle of the night. And it's difficult to get to. And it could also lead to additional interactions with the Department of Environmental Quality. Will the city have to use any emergency funds if this rate adjustment is not passed? Well, yes, we will. We already have. We've already transferred $900,000 into our water wastewater system to help make up the deficit from previous charges that weren't collected and that mistake in calculating. Has the city considered getting a second opinion on this report? Well, actually we did. We did that first report in August, and in November we have this second report that we've been discussing since November. Again, the next one, how much will a bill change? It shows some amounts on this. Not much, $5, $10 tops, it looks like. So current water user, 4,000 gallons at 63. And according to this, in 2022, the bill would change to 67. So from 58 to 63 to 67. So are we looking at other options for water supply and or wholesale distribution? Well, currently we buy our water wholesale rates from Central Arkansas Water, and we are looking at that. There is another Lee County Regional Water Authority that we are a member of, and we've been members of for a number of years, and they are actively working to gain access to the Ouachita River so we can get water from there using our own. It's basically a consortium of Bryant, Benton, and a lot of these other towns out here, and to get together, and we're working actively to get that so we don't rely solely on Central Arkansas Water. But we're actually have invited Central Arkansas Water, and we're inviting Saline County Regional Water Authority in the coming months to come give presentations to the city council. So yeah, that's in the coming months. Once we get through this issue that we have here. Since Bryan is a highly attractive place for new construction businesses, why not increase fees on building and business permits to offset customer increases? Well, we've actually done that in the past, but that does not eliminate the need for these water rates, because the way city financing works is certain fees and funds you collect in one way can't be used in another way. So like the water, wastewater fees that we collect on a water bill, that money has to stay with the water, wastewater department. It can't be used by anything else, which is very important to understand that. And some of the other stuff we collect, in our sales tax is the same way. Why does this rate adjustment not sunset? There's no reason to set a sunset clause on adjustments. The city reviews on a yearly basis, and the information is shared during department reports and budgeting process. City council, if significant changes occurs, the council can approve an adjustment to the rates. So there's really no need to do that. If in the future it looks like we're well on our way after this rate adjustment, after a year or two, it's like, oh, okay, we're good. We're actually looks like we're charging too much. The city can adjust that. The council can adjust that rate down. They can also adjust it the other way. So, but generally we're going to try to keep it as low as possible. That's kind of about everything I have. I don't know if you've had any questions or not, Dana. Mm-hmm. Probably not. But again, this workshop is this Thursday. If you want to make a comment, feel free to come by. Again, space is limited, so you might have to wait outside a little bit for that. Or if you want to comment via email, feel free to send an email to the city and say it's a public comment for the workshop, and I will be happy to read that comment into the minutes of the agenda of the meeting. And, that way the council can have that comment as well. So,
Yeah, but we will, I mean, we do encourage everyone to listen to the workshop, but, maybe even prior to
Right.
sending comments, just to make sure they have all the information surrounding the
Right.
decision. It's a tough decision. It's
Absolutely.
always a tough decision.
absolutely.
And we will also be meeting, the city council will begin meeting in person the 30th of this month, and we will be back in our regular
Right.
place, which will have more space and there'll be additional public comments
Yeah.
available.
As Dana was saying, we do ask for, if you have comments, to wait until you hear what the presentation is in the workshop. Again, the workshop, there's no decision that's going to be made at the workshop. This is information only. The decision will be made at the council meeting. So if after this workshop is over and you have some comments about this, positive or negative, feel free to reach out to us with those comments. That way we can have those at the council meeting. Excuse me. The council meeting will also be a live council meeting this time. So we'll be in person, which is kind of neat too. And it makes me happy because while this is okay, it's not my idea of a good time to Zoom all the time. I have so many meetings. So anyway, so we'll have that. So there'll be opportunity to comment there. Again, if you don't feel comfortable coming to that meeting, feel free to email us those comments and we will get those into the comment. We will read those in as comments without a problem. I do not mind doing that at all. That way, everybody is fully informed, either positively or negatively. But if you have positive comments, feel free, because a lot of times people say, oh yeah, I'm fine with that, and they're good. You never hear from those. You generally always hear from the negative comments. That's just the nature of the beast. I can't think of much else on with regard to this. I will say this. I'm going to share the screen one more time. Well, it's already hidden. It's disappeared from me. Never mind. I was going to remind y'all again about that catfish supper or that catfish deal. It is on. I've got it right here. Luckily, I'll do it this way. Here you go. Grab and Go Cat Dinner. Again, it's Thursday, March 18th. 5 to 7 p.m. It's Bryant Senior Center at the Bishop parking lot. It's a fundraiser to benefit the Senior Adult Food Program. If you're not familiar with what that program is, it is what they do. They can feed people there when they're able to have people in the building, but they also provide Meals on Wheels, which is so important to some of our senior citizens. So go by, get you, spend $15 and get you some catfish and chicken from Riverside Grocery. Everybody knows how good that catfish is. I'm sure I'll be buying 3 or 4 meals that day because I'll be feeding myself, my wife, and my mother and father-in-law because they do love that catfish. So do I. And ask Dana if there's any more questions.
I don't see any questions. I mean, we can hang out for just a minute and see if there's a little bit of a lag.
Yeah, we do have a little bit of a lag, so we'll wait a couple of minutes and you'll just look at my ugly face. I can make faces. I guess I could share some dad jokes with you from my dad joke calendar if you want me to. What do you think? You think I should?
You can always give them on a high note, Mayor.
I'll go out on a high note. That's right. Yeah, this is yesterday's. Yeah, here's yesterday's. It says, what do cows order from? Cattle logs. Or why did the large bucket think the small bucket was sick? It was a little pale. Did I hear some groans on that one? Why can't the nose be 12 inches long? Because then it would be a foot. This is probably one of my favorites. How much does a hipster weigh? An Instagram. I'll pass on that one.
Ashley loves the dad jokes.
Of course she does.
Of course.
What do you call a dinosaur that's also a towel? A dry ceratops.
Walter did mention, that the e-waste pickup, which I think may be in the newsletter.
It may be in the newsletter.
But that is, this
I think it's,
Wednesday.
yeah, this,
I think it's Wednesday. Hang
or
on.
Saturday,
Let me find
something.
that note one more time.
we do have an e-waste pickup as well. We forgot to mention it. So I'm glad Walter mentioned that. We're getting the details on it right now.
E-waste recycling is this Wednesday. And then I did add the link. on
E-waste
there for their
recycling is,
calendar.
you said this Wednesday?
Mhm.
Okay, it's this Wednesday. So I believe that's at, where's that going to be located at? Do you
I
know?
think it's usually at Bishop.
It's usually at
But-
Bishop, but we'll check on it to make sure. Sorry if we're a little disorganized today. The
Wednesday, and it's at 6401 Bay Road.
Okay, yeah, 6401 Boone Road. So it's at Bishop Center. So that's Wednesday. So bring your e-waste over there for recycling. By the way, a steak pun is a rare medium. Well done. I think Dana groaned on that
I
one.
did.
And we'll find one more. Did you hear the rumor about butter? It's okay. I'm not going to spread it. I'm not going to tell you the dad joke that I told to Chief Menden earlier that came off of here. If you know me and you've been around me, you've already heard it. So I'm just going to let that one roll. If you want to know what it is, feel free to message me and I will do it that way. But I mean, I don't want to scare anybody on this. So anyway, so with all that, I want to say I wish everybody a great day. Get out and enjoy the sunshine and the great weather this weekend. Get a hike in, do some yard work, get a run in, get a bike ride in, go to the Container Store like I'm probably going to today. Whatever you can do to have fun. So with that,
With everything opening back up, they have a mayor who will travel. So any groups that
yeah,
you might-
absolutely true. As Dana said, with things opening up, I have a mayor that will travel. So if there's a group out there that wants me to come speak about something, reach out to us and we will get that arranged. And with that, I'll talk to y'all later. I'm going to go enjoy the